feliz com essa oportunidade e sei onde eu posso chegar.
It's been 5 years since a UFC light heavyweight champion successfully defended his title more than once.
You're champion now, baby. I don't care who's stepping in his cage. What's up, champ? All right, I've already cried in the octagon once, so I'm not going to do that again. Sean Evans is the new UFC light heavyweight champion. If you have a dream in your life, go ahead. It's impossible. Go ahead.
UFC 140, John Jones aims to break the string.
It means a lot to me, but now I know I have a huge target on my back. And when you guys come and strike at me, I'll be ready to strike right back.
Não fico impressionado com nada disso, sabe? Eu também já tive esse momento, eu sei como é que é.
We have just entered a new era in the light heavyweight division.
E sabe que é um grande talento e tudo, mas que se manter como campeão não é tão fácil assim como as pessoas acham.
So confusing to the opponents of MACHIDA. He's got excellent timing. I mean, he's a very intelligent guy, and his timing is awesome.
MACHIDA and John Jones are two of the most unique fighters in the UFC.
Look at this. Triangle attempt. Final seconds of the round, though. Wow. He pulled guard. So unpredictable.
Their styles are very unorthodox. Both of them are very creative. And both of them kind of have their own unique flavor.
Up against the cage, man, stuff like that. He's just so creative in there.
A gente tem uma equipe de vários profissionais junto, para que a gente possa realmente decifrar, fazer uma leitura. Mas eu consigo fazer uma leitura do jogo do John Jones, né? Então eu consigo ter uma leitura do que pode acontecer.
This man is a karate fighter, weighing in at 205 pounds.
MACHIDA has such a unique karate style, and it's definitely something that John hasn't seen before. It's going to be interesting to see how John can deal with that.
MACHIDA said, I don't think karate was ever gone, and he proved it tonight.
E ele deve estar estudando bastante, né? Vendo onde é que ele pode realmente, onde está a minha brecha, onde ele pode encontrar o meu jogo.
Lyoto's been fighting so much longer than me. I have so much footage on Lyoto MACHIDA. And what I'm realizing is that he has tons of tendencies.
When you see that right leg back, he's usually going to throw a right leg kick. Bang, there it is.
I don't really have too many tendencies that can be picked up on because of how fresh I am in the sport. I haven't taken much damage. I've never been knocked out before. Confidence comes with that.
One of the major battles in this fight is going to be the control of distance. MACHIDA has a very good in-and-out circular style.
Oh, big quick hands!
Where he linearly goes in and out and then half moons kind of circles away from you, and he controls that very well. John is able to keep people at bay with his long reach.
Jones is so far away from him when he throws it.
Lyoto loves distance, and I love distance, but I have the longer limbs, and I believe I'm just as fast. So if Lyoto wants to play the distance game with me, I think that's going to be awesome.
MACHIDA swarming in!
Eu tenho um jogo de contra-ataque, mas às vezes também eu tenho o meu jogo de ataque. Então eu acho que a gente tem que dosar isso e equilibrar bastante isso.
Lyoto MACHIDA now swinging away.
I would expect Lyoto to use all of his tools. He's not a guy like Rampage where I had to worry about two hands. You know, Lyoto has a great left knee, left high kick, right high kick, straight punches.
MACHIDA again with an attack.
Lyoto's power definitely comes into play in this fight.
Again with a nice combination.
He has one-punch knockout abilities.
Oh, another shot. He's getting teed off on. He's down. He's down. It's all over.
It's really that straight left that does the damage. If we can get out of the way of that, we'll be okay.
Very nice takedown by Lyoto.
I expect Lyoto to go out there, try to use his takedowns, use his jiu-jitsu.
Very nicely done. And a sweep by Machida.
I do respect Lyoto's wrestling against your average MMA fighter.
Machida, by the way, has a very, very good ground game.
But I don't think he's fought too many guys with the wrestling credentials that I have. You know, Rashad Evans, a great wrestler, but he didn't use his wrestling at all.
Machida looking to close it out. Machida's all over Rashad here.
Eu já lutei com muito wrestling também, né? Não estou dizendo que eu vou tentar derrubar ele, não é isso. Mas assim, que muita gente falava que ninguém derrubava o Clinton Jackson. Consegui derrubar.
Take down Machida.
Tito Ortiz também.
I know the takedown that he likes to do with the body lock, and he sucks you in and then he trips your leg. That's something that we've been preparing for.
Vou estar dando 100% naquela competição lá que representa muito para minha vida, representa muito para mim. Então, com certeza, eu vou sair como um novo campeão.
I believe that is my destiny, to be the UFC champion for many years. I'm convinced that I was meant to be here.
The UFC light heavyweight champion of the world, ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Bones Jones!
Just minutes apart, Rodrigo and Rogerio Nogueira have spent most of their lives by each other's sides.
Since we was playing judo when we was like 5 years old, he was my best partner training. He's strong, about the same weight and the same size.
At 23, Rodrigo moved to Japan, was christened Minotauro, and became one of the top heavyweight fighters in the world.
Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira!
Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira always proves to be a tough obstacle for anyone. A complete mixed martial artist. He has all the skills, no doubt about it.
Rogerio soon followed, becoming one of the world's top light heavyweights. They are both now on the sport's biggest stage, and at UFC 140 will appear on the same card.
Muito excitado por essa luta. E dessa vez vai ser uma grande noite, porque nós dois vamos sair vitoriosos. I cannot be in his corner, but probably I'm going to ask him to be in my corner. It's going to be a good help for me in that day.
Rogerio was in his brother's...
I'm living out my purpose. I'm convinced that I was meant to be here. I believe that is my destiny, to be the UFC champion for many years.
That's the master, ladies and gentlemen. So unpredictable. This kid can do everything. John Jones! Lyoto Machida! Incredible! Here we go! Light heavyweight championship! Oh, knee bite! That's a solid guillotine! Here goes Nogueira! Right there! Minotauro Nogueira! Here we go again! Tito swarms on him! What a huge, huge victory for Tito's team! Like that one more time. That's it. Little Nog. And this is what this sport is all about.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tom Wright. I'm the Director of Canadian Operations for the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and I want to welcome everybody to UFC 140, Jones versus Machida, on Saturday, December the 10th at the Air Canada Centre here in Toronto. UFC 140 represents the 8th time the UFC has come to the country of Canada. It'll represent the 3rd time this year that we'll be coming to the country of Canada, and the 2nd time this calendar year that we've been in the great city of Toronto. So I want to welcome everyone. And before I introduce Dana White, I just want to mention a few housekeeping things. First fight on Saturday night goes off at 5:45 p.m. Eastern. Our prelims go off at 7 o'clock Eastern, and they will be in English Canada on Rogers Sportsnet, in Quebec on TVA Sports, and in the United States on ION television. Pay-per-view starts at 9 p.m. Eastern throughout the world. So without any further ado, we've got a great card set up for this event, featuring 7 Canadians on the card as well as these great fighters. And it's my pleasure to have the action started by introducing the president of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, Dana White. Dana?
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Who's first?
To your left, Dana.
Yep.
Up here by the stairs.
Okay. Hey.
Joe Farrell, Sportsnet. Can you give us a little breakdown of this main event? I mean, you got Johnny Bones Jones was putting on a spectacular year in 2011. Is Machida this guy's toughest test?
Yeah, I know. I keep saying this every time Jones fights. If he walks through Machida the way he has everybody else, it's just... I love this fight. I think stylistically this is an incredible fight. Both guys have very flashy, interesting style. And, I mean, I don't know what to expect. I expect fireworks, 5 rounds. We'll see what happens. Jones doesn't stop. He keeps coming forward, throws elbows, knees, punches, kicks. Machida is very defensive and elusive and throws kicks and punches from different angles. This is a fun fight.
What about the heavyweight co-main event between Frank Mir and Nog? I mean, I've never seen Frank Mir this. I haven't seen Frank Mir this intense in a very long time. It was almost as if this rematch wasn't warranted, but he's accepted it, and I think he wants to prove a point. And Big Nog is going to prove a point, you know, based on what he's been saying in his interviews.
Yeah, I agree. This is a big fight for both of these guys to get back into the into the heavyweight title picture, and it's an important fight for them.
John, this question is for you. Going into this fight on Saturday, what are your thoughts on the fact that you haven't really garnered the respect from a lot of the MMA community yet, even off of your first title defense? Once you beat Lyoto, if you beat Lyoto on Saturday, do you think that that will solidify the respect that you deserve?
You know, I have to disagree with you. I think I've gotten a lot more respect amongst the MMA community, and I think people are starting to take me a little more legit as far as me being the champion. So, but you know, obviously my goals is to do as best as I can, and just continue to win these fights, and everything else will just take care of itself.
And Dana, this question is for you. Every time you come back to Canada, it seems to get bigger and bigger, and especially the second time around here in Toronto. Can you sort of speak to, obviously, the ever-growing fandemonium that is here in Toronto, specifically for the UFC, because it's crazy?
Yeah, it's been that way, though. It's been that way for a long time. Canada has been, like I call Canada the mecca of the sport, but, you know, it's starting to happen everywhere now, not just in Canada. Brazil is blowing up, and all the other countries that we're going to. You know, the sport's on its way. Worldwide, not just here.
Dana, if I could, obviously the light heavyweight division's been a tough one with injuries and champs beating each other and all that. Can you talk about how you came to this fight being the right fight, Lyoto being the right guy for the challenge at just 1-2 in his last 3 fights?
Yeah, you know, Lyoto has been itching to get back in there, and he wanted this fight really bad. And this is a fun one. I mean, this is definitely a fun fight. Stylistically, like I said 2 seconds ago, this one's going to be very interesting. And to speak on what the other gentleman asked him earlier, you know, I think that John Jones is, and I was one of those guys too. Everybody keeps saying, let's see, because John Jones is only 24 years old. We all keep saying, well, let's see how he does in this one. Let's see how he does in this one. I think it's pretty clear that this guy is here to stay and is the real deal. So Saturday's going to be fun.
And if I could ask John on that, obviously, you know, when you're a challenger, you just fight who you get. But when you're champ, I think sometimes you can be a little bit more selective about who you're fighting. When the phone rang with Lyoto, was there any debate over, hey, does this guy really deserve the shot right now? I mean, he just has 1 win. You know, let him get some more before he faces me.
You know, I kind of disagree. I think it's kind of the other way around. You know, when you're a challenger, you kind of want to pick and choose who you fight so you can get where you want to be. And once you're the champion, I feel as if you fight whoever comes, you know, whoever's the #1 contender at the time, or whoever the UFC gives me, you know. So, but to answer your question, I had no problem with accepting the Lyoto Machida fight. I look at it this way, you know, there's certain guys that I'm gonna fight no matter what. Lyoto, Rashad, Henderson. These fights are gonna happen sooner or later, so it doesn't really matter to me what order they come.
And finally for Lyoto, if I could, if Lyoto could talk about the feelings that he has now versus when he fought Rashad Evans for the title. Obviously that was, you know, an undefeated champion at that time. Can you compare, you know, this feeling to that feeling and how he is mentally?
Compara como você está se sentindo agora, como você se sentiu quando lutou com o Rashad pela primeira vez no cinturão.
Eu acho que toda luta pelo cinturão existe uma pressão, né? Existe realmente a pressão, mas assim, hoje eu estou mais maduro. Passaram-se alguns anos já que eu venci do Rashad, então eu me sinto mais tranquilo, mais confiante. E eu acho que é isso aí.
You know, every time you fight for a belt, there's a little bit of added pressure, but I feel more mature now. It's been over a year that I fought Rashad, and I feel that I'm more prepared right now to fight for the title.
My question is for Dana. Speaking of the popularity of the sport in Canada and Brazil, you recently said that Brazil is becoming the new Canada. So, and here you are in Canada, and there's 3 Brazilians in the featured fights. So I guess this is a trend we can see continuing?
This is a trend that is continuing. I mean, when you think about it, it's one of the things. I was actually just having this conversation before I walked in here. One of the incredible things about this sport is how it doesn't matter what country you're from. People aren't concerned with what country you're from. It's about the fighters and the fights. We headlined 2 Brazilians in Los Angeles. We headlined 2 Brazilians in Montreal. George St. Pierre goes down to the United States and fights Americans, and more people cheer for George St. Pierre than cheer for the Americans. The sport isn't about what country you're from or where you are. Obviously, there's countries like Brazil, Canada, where they're going to have their guys that they get behind and root for, but people don't really pick teams or pick countries. People like you because of your fighting style or your personality or whatever it might be. And I had this conversation, too, about, you know, guys coming here, whether it's like Lyoto Machida, who doesn't speak English. You know, you guys aren't here. People aren't buying tickets on Saturday night to hear Lyoto Machida walk in and give a speech. They're there to see him fight. So this is a very different sport. It's very unique.
And then if I can just ask Lyoto and the 2 Nogueiras, just to compare the popularity of the sport in Brazil and here, and for Lyoto, do you like fighting in Canada? Start with Lyoto.
Compara a popularidade do Ultimate aqui no Brasil e se você gosta de lutar no Canadá.
O Brasil, assim, depois desse UFC Rio aí, cresceu muito, né? Porque assim a grande maioria que não tinha acesso, né, começou a ter acesso ao UFC. O pessoal que não tinha muito de aquisição mais humilde teve acesso também ao UFC. Então cresceu muito o esporte em todas as camadas sociais. E eu adoro lutar aqui no Canadá porque eu lutei contra o Randy que eu estou aqui, me senti muito bem, adorei a torcida aqui vibrando, aquele estádio lotado, então eu me sinto muito bem.
After UFC Rio, the UFC really took off in Brazil. Definitely, there's a much people watching right now because maybe some people that couldn't buy the pay-per-view before have access to it now. So it's a lot better in all social classes for people that want to watch the UFC. And I love fighting in Canada. I felt great when I fought Randy here, walking into that big stadium, and I love it here.
Yeah, and just to take that one step further, I'm here till Sunday. On Monday, I fly to Brazil, where we are casting for The Ultimate Fighter Brazil. We'll get that show cast. The show is going to be so huge down in Brazil. We're going to do one in Canada. We're going to do one in Australia. We're going to do one in the UK. And the list goes on and on. I've talked about this before, but now we're actually there and it's actually happening. And what I eventually want to do is do The Ultimate Fighter. Once we get it going in all these different countries, we'll do The Ultimate Fighter. We'll kick it off at the same time. And then the winner of those countries will then fight the winners from the other countries. So it almost becomes the World Cup. And you end up with one winner worldwide. We're getting close now. I start casting on Monday in Brazil, so we're on our way. I'm really pumped for that.
And just Rodrigo and Rogerio, just quick comment on fighting here.
Yeah, Brazil is getting very popular right now. You know, you see the juniors fight when in fact came. Over 60 million people was watching that fight. So that's a new sport, you know, behind soccer. You know, everybody's been watching for the past, you know, couple months. After UFC in Brazil, August was really successful. You know, I can see people love that sport right now. You know, because Brazilians, they represent so good. We got like 7, 8 big idols in Brazil, like Anderson Silva, Vitor Belfort. You know, my brother and myself and a couple other guys, and Zé Aldo, Lyoto, you know, so it's good, you know, to fight over there. But a Canadian, I feel really special, you know, to fight in that country here because people really follow the sport, so. popularidade do esporte no Brasil e daqui comparar. Eu acho que a popularidade do esporte no Brasil cresceu muito também depois do UFC Rio. Hoje em dia o Brasil, o UFC é o segundo esporte no Brasil, só perde para o futebol por muito pouco. Então eu acredito que o UFC vai ser o primeiro esporte no Brasil também em alguns anos. E aqui eu vejo o UFC como um dos esportes que mais cresce também. Como no Brasil. Vai ser muito especial lutar aqui também pela primeira vez.
The popularity really grew in Brazil after UFC Rio. I mean, it's the #2 sport in Brazil, closely tied to soccer, and I believe it'll get bigger and bigger. And here in Canada is the same thing. It's very special to fight here also.
There was a question earlier of respect towards John. I would actually like to ask that similar question to Frank Mir. Frank, you've been fighting a long time, and I feel like that kind of applies to you. You're always fighting for respect. Would you agree with that? And just tell me what it's going to take for you to get the respect that you deserve.
On my part, I'm just trying to be consistent as possible, and and just keep on going. I think that your performances have to speak for themselves, and that's pretty much all we have in our control. So I go out there and keep performing against guys that are named opponents, and just let the rest take care of itself.
This question is for Frank and Rodrigo. I mean, the rematch is finally here. I know you won the fight, Frank, but has it been in your mind about all the excuses that came up afterwards? And for you, Rodrigo, is this something that you've been waiting for since, to get back in the octagon with Frank?
I mean, to me, means I got a, second chance to fight against him. I didn't make a good fight in that day. It's no excuse. He won the fight. He was faster. That's why he won the fight. And he threw more, techniques and punch-wise. I didn't pick a good strategy, and now I got a chance to face him. I want to show us different fight. Then I will try to do my best, and show a different fight than I did that day. That I will try.
One thing that's helped me focus for this fight, I know a lot of times people can fall into the pitfalls of once they have a victory over and it's somebody, they underestimate them. But I realized that I'm not silly. I know that Nogueira the first time around, I think, underestimated me. He felt that my striking wasn't going to be where it is, so he laid out that game plan according to what he knew at that time. Obviously I've improved drastically, and in that fight it showed with the striking. So I think I attribute a lot of it to catching someone off guard, which that's the name of our sport. That's why you try not to ever prepare specifically for a person, because you don't know what might happen during the fight. You have to prepare for the hardest fight possible. So, and I realized too that I think Nogueira is a little bit more inspired this time around than he was last time. I think, obviously anytime I know how it feels when you have a loss off of somebody, there's a motivation to your training that's not there normally.
This question is for the quiet guy over there on the left with the glasses. Tito, you had
bright.
You had a big win against Bader, and then you have to come back into the octagon less than a month after. We talked about it yesterday that you didn't think it was a setback, but how pumped are you to get back in the ring and try to get that victory again after you had the great submission win against Bader?
I think just the first satisfaction is just fighting it 3 times in a year after coming off of neck surgery and back surgery. I don't think there's another athlete who's ever done it, let alone any sport. And I'm very thankful for the surgeon that did the surgeries for me, because I'm able to train. Working with Jason Perillo, Mike Giovanni, Ferdiso Verdun, Ricardo Abreu. I worked really hard for this fight, and I'm going to swing for the fences, man. I'm just excited to fight 3 times in a year. I would love to try to squeeze in 4, but it is what it is. I'm just excited to fight.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, right?
I might be calling you.
Is the change of philosophy from bad boy to people's champ working good for you?
It's just keeping positive, man. Like I say, I asked a question on Twitter of all my fans. I asked them what people's champ meant to them, and he says someone that has been a champion that has given back to their fans all the time throughout their career. And I've done that time over hand over fist many times. I can remember back in UFC 33 having Mandalay Bay the first time. I put my back to the wall and signing autographs for over 7 hours. Every UFC expo I've been to, I sign for over 7 hours each time I go. I'm there for the fans. And then the fans, when you call yourself a people's champ, you got to be there for your fans, and I have been there. And not only that, just being an inspiration of showing with hard work and dedication, with determination, that you can achieve anything in life. and I want to be an inspiration in people's life. And if this is what it changes for me to change my whole attitude of being completely positive and no longer being negative, people's champ it is.
Dana, one more for you. You talk about last time you were in New York, about the first time you came to New York with Tito Ortiz, and it was like 10 people in the conference.
Two.
And then when they found out that he didn't speak Spanish, like 8 of them left. Can you talk about, Tito is still here. It's UFC 140, and Tito Ortiz is still in the main event. Can you talk a little bit about, what has been all the things that you have gone through, and is it unbelievable to you? To me, it was yesterday seeing Tito Ortiz in the workout.
Yeah, it's funny because I do all these interviews and we talk about, wow, it's only been 10 years. Look how fast this thing's grown in just 10 years. But it's been a long 10 years, believe me. It's been like dog years. And when you look back to the original crew that was with us in the UFC, and it's been a lot of hard work and a lot of to be at a press conference like this and a beautiful venue like this and all the media, and we're live on television right now. Yeah, we've definitely come a long way.
This question is for Tito over here, building off what the last question was all about. At what point did you feel like it was time to move away from the bad boy character? That's a moniker that brought you a lot of fame and fortune, and I think a lot of people embraced it. But at what point did you think that it was time to put that aside and move towards this more positive character?
I don't like you, so I'm not going to answer your question.
Should I ask a follow-up, or would that be inappropriate at this point?
I don't like you either, so I don't know, man. I'm kidding.
That's a comment.
I love you. Tito, will you answer his question, please?
Yeah. I think it came down before the Bader fight. There was, thank you, Dana, and I'll answer the question for you, no problem. It was before the Bader fight. There was a lot of pressure on my back. Dana said that it was me win or me leave. I wasn't going anywhere. Coming off the surgeries I did, all the pressure against me, and I just kind of said, you know what, enough's enough. Push all the negative people away from me. I pressed all the negative people away from me, people on Twitter, people that emailed me, everything. I just stopped it, kept it out of my life, and to say out of sight, out of mind, and you believe positive, and my life just got better and better and better. I woke up every morning with a smile on my face, and that's when I was saying, it's time to change my whole moniker. It's time to change my whole attitude about life. I'm not getting any younger. I got 3 boys. And I think my 3 boys, as they get older, they'll love to be known as their dad as the people's champ instead of the bad boy. And I think that is a little bit of the reason that I've done it also, for my family. Because I have 3 beautiful boys who are smart as hell. Possibly want to be in my same footsteps, but they got to get their master's degree first. But I'm going to give that opportunity to them. And thanks for Dana Lorenzo for giving this opportunity for me to be a fighter, because I'm able to do this for my family.
Thank you. I just want to ask John Jones a question as well. What do you think about, and what's going through your mind when you walk into the cage? It seems as though you're sort of in a zone, and then you say something. You crouch down right before you enter the cage. You say something to yourself, and then you do the I guess like a one-handed cartwheel or something like that.
I just learned the one-handed cartwheel. Thanks.
It's very impressive. So what is going through your mind when you're going through that whole process about the fight?
First of all, Ariel, I think you're pretty cool. Just playing, Tito. Okay, so when I'm walking into the cage, I'm just really saying to myself that there's no other place on the planet that I was meant to be. I think a lot of times people have a hard time finding what their true purpose is on this planet, and I think it's the highest blessing to know what you're meant to do in this world. And I believe that I was meant to be a mixed martial artist. So yeah, I'm just telling myself, this is my zone, this is my place, this is my house, and to embrace it, and to love every moment of it, and take it all in. So that's what I do. I take it all in, and then when I crouch, I say a small prayer, and I pray for myself, and I pray for my opponent that neither one of us gets seriously hurt, and I pray for fluidity, and then I go out there and do a nice fluid cartwheel and get it on.
Tito, could you elaborate a little bit? Are you saying your quality of life has improved because of this new sort of persona you've taken on? Is your life lighter, happier now because you've changed your image inside the octagon?
I think it's not just in the octagon. When it's fight time, I got my poker face on, man. It's fight time. that bad boy's still in the cage when it's fight time. Outside the octagon, when I'm talking about other fighters I'm competing against, Nogueira is one of the best in the world, and I'm happy to compete against him. But if you fill yourself with hate, you fill yourself with negatives, of so much of it, life becomes miserable. Why make your life so miserable? If you could just push all that stuff out and get it away from you and just accept for what's in front of you, and God gives you challenges. I'm not a guy who sits there and believes about God and Jesus and this and that. I ain't that type of person. But I believe that good things happen to good people when you do good things. And I just stay from that point on, man. Karma always comes around, always, and I believe in it. And positive, like I say, you treat people the way you want to be treated. That's the way it should be.
Questions for Dana. It's Perry Lefko from Sportsnet. You talked before about this being the Mecca. When it came here a few months ago, there was this overwhelming, incredible urge for people to want to come see the product. It sold out in no time at all. There's still some tickets left, reportedly, for Saturday's fight. What has changed the landscape now from then, in your opinion?
I don't think anything's changed the landscape. What happens is we knew the first time that we got into Toronto, it was going to be a massive event. It was this huge event that people had to be, no matter whether you were from Canada or anywhere else in the world. We brought in a lot of people globally for that event, and you can't do that every weekend. Every time you come up to Canada, you're not going to sell 55,000 tickets. And as far as stadium type shows go, we're probably going to do one in Brazil this summer. But they're few and far between. It depends on, you got to have a very special fight to pull that off. And I've always said I like being in arenas. I like being in the arenas that we do now, as opposed to doing big stadium shows. But yeah, you're not going to sell out in minutes every time you go somewhere, and it's not always going to be 55,000 seats.
And just as a follow-up to that,
I mean, if that was the thought process, we'd have come back and tried to do the Sky Dome again. We would have. The Rogers Center.
Yeah.
Confusing me now. Not from here, man. So we knew we weren't going to do that many ticket sales again.
And just as a follow-up, do you think that you need to have someone like GSP, a Canadian, fighting in an event such as this to bring that added extra element of Canadian? Well,
yeah. Listen. Doesn't suck when George St. Pierre fights, okay? It's not a bad thing. Not just here in Canada, worldwide. This guy, that's why I've been saying this, and I get into it with all the Canadians on this one. He's the most famous guy to ever come out of Canada. Whether deal with it. Deal with it. If you want to talk about other hockey players and things like that, people don't care about these guys in the Philippines, in England, and all over the rest of the world. This kid's a worldwide superstar, and he is the #1 pound-for-pound pay-per-view star in mixed martial arts. So, yes, it's never a bad thing when George St. Pierre fights. Yeah.
Oh, where's the Bulls now, guys?
Yeah.
Hi, Shane Mercer, News Talk 1010, right over here. I'm not sure anyone's going to like me after this question. But for Dana, we've seen a lot of reports and studies into concussions, mostly hockey players. That's what we've been paying a lot of attention to here in Canada, about the negative health effects later on in life. Are you at all worried for your fighters when you see these studies?
Yeah, one of the things that we're definitely out in front of is fighter safety. I mean, these guys go through, first of all, this sport here, in almost 20 years that this sport's been around, there's never been a death or serious injury in the UFC. And the reason is because when you take two healthy athletes, you go in, you get them medically cleared and checked out the way that you're supposed to. You don't cut any corners. You go overboard on it. Then you have the proper medical staff there while they're fighting, and then you get them checked up after the fight is over. It's 100% a safe sport. I mean, are there things like, people talk about concussions and Parkinson's and all these other things. I mean, this is life, man. Things happen. You never know what's going to happen. But when you go overboard on safety, things always turn out all right.
Same kind of question for any one of the fighters that want to answer. Are you guys, when you see these studies, do you get worried about your career?
No, I think mixed martial arts has been proven time and time again to be one of the safest sports you can play. I mean, every sport there is has some level of concussion or injury. Basketball players, they're fighting over the ball, they're elbowing each other. Football players, guys on the defensive line, over and over again, they're boom, boom, boom. you know, 230-pound men running as full speed and clashing into each other. You know, these are you know, major concussions that these guys are taking. Boxers, you know, round after round, they get punched in the head, and then they get an 8 count to stand back up. Turn your phone off, please. No, I'm joking. An 8 count to stand back up to get knocked out again. You know what I mean? So, you know, our sport, a lot of the times the fans are upset because the referees are stopping the fights too soon. So, you know, concussions, yeah, we take risks, but this is what we chose to do with our lives, and you know, we find it pretty safe. That's why, or else we wouldn't be here.
You know, to kind of follow up on John Jones, I've been competing for almost 15 years now, and you know, you look at boxing, and Fernando Vargas is a really close friend of mine, and you know, he's took some damage when he fought. It was at Trinidad. After that fight, he took some serious damage. A standing 8 count makes very bad brain damage happen for a guy's brain. In UFC, when you get stopped, you can't tell you to defend yourself. The match is over. It's done. That's it. It's over. So we're not sustaining blow after blow after blow, round after round, because we have big balls to step up and fight the next round and fight the next round where guys are getting hurt. I mean, I watched BJ Penn fight his last fight, and I love BJ. He's my brother. And to see the heart that he was showing, it was amazing. But the blows that were taken, it reminded me of a boxing match. And you see things like that happen, and yes, there's a scare tactic of us fighters not wanting to be injured. I mean, when I have problems and I start stuttering and you can't understand half the things I'm saying, I'm slurring my words so bad, yeah, I want to be to that point. No way. No thank you. I do not want to be to that point. And I look at it as there's a lot of MMA fighters that aren't like that at all. They're fine. I mean, intelligent, smart, are very articulate, and you know, that's what UFC fighters are about. The judges, or excuse me, the referees inside the octagon look out for our health at all times. Dana and Lorenzo, they always offer us to come down to Vegas and have us do brain scannings and make sure we're okay, and they take care of us. And it's just awesome to see that MMA fighters in general, or UFC fighters in general, are taken care of no matter what.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, the more we're learning about it right now with all the studies being done through the hockey players and football players, we've learned actually that MMA has already been on the right course. The fact that we don't have the standing 8 count, because they've already proven that the initial concussion, you see that in hockey and football, as long as you pull the player at that point, it's the secondary concussions that come after that that incurs brain damage. That being said, as long as we don't have the standing 8 count, which has in boxing, you take a bad shot, you stand up, it's the most barbaric thing in the world. Give a guy 8 seconds or 10 seconds to sit there, are you okay? Well, he's a fighter, of course he's going to say he's okay. You have another trained fighter across the way, he's ready to go ahead and finish him off in the neutral corner. In our sport, it started out that way, and it's already ended that way. We have I have no fear whatsoever. I'm a father of 4. I'll enter the cage every day, and brain damage is the least of my worries. Not whatsoever. It's a completely safe sport in that regards, 100%, whereas in boxing, you know, obviously we have already proved you can't say that.
Questions for Dana? And one more thing on that, and even in the NFL, when guys get concussions, they need these guys to play again. They have to play. The season's only this long. These guys get put on medical suspension, where they're not even allowed to spar or do anything for 30, 60, 90 days, whatever it is the doctor suggests. So completely different. Go ahead. Who was going to ask me the next question?
For you, Dana, with all the names, the well-known names in the light heavyweight division, former champions and up-and-comers, is this the strongest the division has ever been? And do you feel it will be the driving force behind furthering the growth in 2012 now that you're on network TV?
Yeah, you know, I don't know if it's the strongest it's ever been. It's always been a strong division. The light heavyweight division has always been a very popular, exciting, stacked division. But yes, I see it getting better and better and better. You know, all the new talent that's coming up, these guys now that are coming up are guys who have been training mixed martial arts since they were kids. You know, you're seeing guys, again, that would have played football, baseball, basketball, or some of these other sports now becoming mixed martial artists.
Dana, Jeff Verhoeven from Sportsnet 590, The Fan. John Jones, 4 fights this year, all against top 10 opponents. Win or lose, has he earned himself a vacation?
Yeah, he has. He made me promise he gets a vacation after this one.
Could you pay for it?
And I'm not paying for it.
Charles from MMAcanada.net. This is kind of a funny question for John Jones. Have you seen that viral video that went on the net about Lyoto Machida kicking you in the face? And how bad do you want to kick that guy's ass for making that?
I thought it was hilarious, especially when Rashad came running.
Rashad Evans came running and screaming.
Yeah,
and Dana's head in the background.
It was classic. I was actually talking to Ed about it. I wanted to retweet it, but I was like, nah, they had me losing in it, so I won't retweet it. But it was classic, yeah.
And did Lyoto see that too? Or?
Você viu o vídeo que fizeram na internet você dando aquele chute?
I bet he liked it. Yeah.
Dana, Tito's talked a lot about his metamorphosis from the bad boy to the people's champ. You two have had a very tumultuous relationship over the years. Have you seen a real change in Tito's demeanor, not just in the cage but out of it as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, it's pretty apparent Tito and I get along a lot better than we used to. And, you know, I wasn't crazy about the name change to the People's Champ from Huntington Beach Bad Boy.
It took me 4 hours to convince him. Literally 4 hours.
So, but yeah, absolutely. I would have to agree with everything that he said. And, you know, our relationship is way better than it used to be.
And Vancouver's no longer on the docket for Canadian dates. How much does that have to do with the Athletic Commission there in the Mayor's office putting unreasonable demands on you guys whenever you want to show up?
Yeah, I think that, you know, there's a lot of talk about that happening. It's never that bad. Do we have to jump through hoops here and there? You know, hopefully I would think that we have proved ourselves to the powers that be in Vancouver on what type of event we hold there, what type of people show up. And let me tell you what doesn't happen. We don't burn the city down, okay, after a UFC fight. All right?
Dana, could you just tell us why you didn't like the name change? And could you elaborate a little more on, do you want your fighters to sort of express their personalities? Is that right? Or but you don't want them if they're too nice?
Yeah, no, it wasn't that. I don't know. He's been the Huntington Beach Bad Boy since he started. I mean, that's who Tito is. That's who he was. And, you know, called me and said, I want to change my name to the People's Champ. And I said, you know, what does that mean? And, you know, he, like you said, we talked for a couple minutes, 4 hours, and he you know, he's the People's Champ.
Question for John, please. John, your whole career you've really been known as a guy that's gone kind of above and beyond in studying your opponent. I'm wondering to what extent you did that for Lyoto and maybe what you learned about him that you didn't already through studying his fights.
How can I answer that question? Let's see. Well, let's see here. I learned a lot about Lyoto's style. You know, every fighter has pretty big tendencies. You know, Lyoto's been fighting for a lot longer than I have, and he has a lot more footage for me to study. And so I studied his fights. You know, I studied back in his prime. Well, not back in his prime. I'm sorry. I studied when he was younger, the way he would move differently until now, to his recent fights. And you know, there's just a lot of things that he does the same. You know, so you know, that's the best way I can answer the question.
And then a question for Lyoto too, please. Lyoto, so much has been made of, you know, it's been a little bit longer break than what you wanted to fight. I'm wondering how you spent all those 8 months. Was it just life as normal? Were you training every day, or did you take any time off and kind of get away at all?
Como é que você passou esses últimos 8 meses? Estava treinando, relaxando? O que você fez?
Não, eu estava treinando, mas o treinamento sem um compromisso, né? Não estava com aquele treinamento para luta. Então eu fazia muita parte de chão, fazia um pouco de boxe, muay thai, karatê, mas sem um compromisso de luta. E aproveitei para viajar um pouquinho também junto com a família, né?
I was training this whole time, but I had no fight commitment, so it was nothing specific. I trained a lot of ground and boxing, karate, just to keep up, and I also took some time off to travel with my family, but no commitments.
And just my last question for the Nogueiras, please. I'm just wondering, do you guys like fighting on the same card as each other, and did that help your training a lot?
Yeah, I love to fight with Rogério because we can train together. Actually, for this fight, Frank Mir is a left-handed, and so Rogério too. So I use my brother a lot for sparring, and he used me, you know, because I'm right-handed. So what's good for both. We can have more sparring partners because I can use his sparring partner, he can use mine. And what's good? It's good vibe, you know, good energy, you know, to have a fight in the same day as my brother. So we stay in the same locker room. We did that a couple of times there in Japan, and I miss that. It's a good atmosphere.
Você gosta de lutar na mesma noite do Rodrigo e como é que é o treino junto?
Vai ser especial, realmente são 2 lutas duras que a gente vai fazer, mas eu acho que como eu vou lutar primeiro, eu tenho a chance de poder fazer uma boa luta e poder estar incentivando ele para a luta dele. É assim que eu vou pensar.
It's going to be a special night. We have 2 tough fights that night, but since I fight first, I have the opportunity to put on a great show and motivate my brother, and I think I'll be able to do that.
This question over here in the middle, Lyoto, Rafael Alcalde from Univision. Not long ago, you were in the position where John Jones is right now, people thinking of you as the invincible fighter. Then you lost your title to Shogun Rua, another loss after that. How did Lyoto Machida change after that? I know you didn't see yourself as invincible, but how much do you learn from your losses, and how much has the fighter changed since then?
Há não muito tempo você estava nessa mesma posição do John Jones, com essa aura de invencível. Como é que você mudou desde que você perdeu? Como é que mudou como lutador? Você não achava que era invencível, mas como é que você mudou?
Eu acho que eu amadureci, né? Eu aprendi muito com a derrota. Assim, às vezes a gente passa um momento, a gente não consegue entender, mas quando a gente olha para trás e vê que aquilo foi importante, eu passar tudo aquilo, né? Eu mudei muito meu treinamento também, eu acrescentei muita coisa no treinamento. E mudei às vezes o pensamento também de enxergar, mudei um pouco, né? Que às vezes a gente acha que aquilo tudo é para sempre, é absoluto e tudo, e você acaba valorizando demais, né? Então eu mudei um pouco com isso, assim, eu deixei um pouco de lado, assim, de valorizar demais as coisas, né?
I think I changed a lot, after losing, you kind of look back at it now, and at the time you don't understand why you're going through this, and it seems like it's going to be forever, but looking back you see that you learn a lot from losing, and you learn a lot and you mature, and I think I've changed. I added a lot of things to my training. I was able to focus on a lot of different things, and I think I'm more mature as a fighter.
How about you, Johnny? You're in the position now where people look at you as the invincible champion. You're going for your second defense, and I know us New Yorkers think of us as invincible anyway, but how do you manage that, and how do you not believe the hype and keep keep a straight line, I guess, when it comes to that?
I think to start, the reason why I know I'm not invincible is because I've seen lots of people who does great, and then they end up losing. I want that to never happen to me. So I stay on the prowl. I always work hard. And then the biggest part is training with Greg Jackson and Jackson's Mixed Martial Arts Center. I'm surrounded by a ton of the top fighters in the world. You guys just saw Diego Brandel and John Dotson win the Ultimate Fighter. I mean, those are just the little guys. Our whole team is stacked with studs. Cowboy and Carlos Conde and Diego Sanchez and Andre Arlovsky, Travis Brown, Keith Jardine, and myself. There's so many of us, I can't even name us all. And Cub Swanson, I keep going. I'm 4 years into my MMA career, and there's so much that I don't know. Jiu-Jitsu is a whole culture. Taekwondo is a whole culture. Muay Thai is a whole culture. Boxing, the sweet science. I'm not even, I'm not close to that yet. So there's just so much I don't know, and there's so much great stuff that my teammates are way better than me at. I'm just so happen to be one of the better ones at merging them all together. But I have teammates that are so much, so much farther ahead at different disciplines, and that's what really keeps me aware of the fact that I don't really know anything. A lot of times people come in and they'll watch me do pads, and they're like, wow, his pad work isn't really that nice. That's because there's way better kickboxers on my team and just way better everything on my team. So that's what really keeps me on the prowl day to day, is just being around Jackson's MMA and realizing that, I'm just good at mixing them all together, but I'm really not the best at any discipline.
I know you like to meditate on Saturdays. Has Dana asked you to make sure you go to a safe neighborhood on Saturday morning?
You know what Dana did? We asked him to get us a minivan to travel with me and my whole coaching staff and my teammates. So I'll have a little more watchful eye over me when we go to the meditation spot. And actually, Greg Jackson found the park that we're going to this time, and it's not actually a park. It's like an hour away, and I doubt we'll be finding any hoodlums to beat up on. So.
Dana, just one more question for you. I know we got one more event to end the year, and I don't want to ask you to give me the state of the UFC speech for 2012. But besides everything that's coming up with Fox and the announcement with Faber and Cruz, what else are we looking forward for in 2012?
Well, what I'm looking forward to is in January. That's when our deal starts, and we kick it in. And the schedule for next year is brutal, to say the least. So, I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it, yet dreading it. But I'm really looking forward to getting this deal kicked off and doing all the things that I know we're capable of doing in 2012. And like I said a million times, the next 2 years are more important than the last 10. So we got a lot of work to do.
Chris Doucette from the Toronto Sun. Dana, your reaction yesterday to the news, which obviously was a big story here, of GSP's injury, and just wondering, are you concerned about his future in MMA?
Now, these knee injuries are very common in athletes, whether you blow your ACL or whatever else it might be. We're going to make sure that George gets the right surgery with the right guy, the right rehabilitation, and he's an athlete who's taken very good care of himself through his entire career, and he's a guy who will put in the work and do the things that need to be done. I'm 100% confident that George St. Pierre will rebound from this injury and come back. We'll take a couple more questions here, or not. Everybody done? All right, we'll take a couple of fan questions. Raise your hand if you want to, and here's the rules. Don't ask me about tickets. I will be tweeting tickets here. Keep it strictly questions for the fighters or about the fighter.
Then over here?
Yep.
2 questions. First question for you. I'm not going to ask for tickets. Can I get backstage passes to the
or
weigh-ins?
that. Don't ask that either. Don't ask me anything like that. I will be tweeting, and I will see you guys out in the streets on Twitter.
Okay, next question is for John Jones. Have you done any formal karate training leading up to your fight, preparing for Lyoto?
No, not leading up to the fight, but I took Taekwondo when I was a kid for like 2 months.
So he is well versed in Taekwondo.
Oh yeah, I know what's going on.
This is for John Jones.
What's up, buddy?
Are you scared to lose your title?
No, not at all, buddy. Not at all. It's a risk we take, but with every great risk, there's great reward.
Hey, Tito.
What's up, buddy?
That was it.
Hey, Tito. Over here, the other side. Any regrets not one more fight against Chuck Liddell?
Any regrets? No. Like I said, it's all of it's in God's hands, man. I had to get a surgery. I had to get neck surgery. I had to do C6, C7 fused. Is money worth my being paralyzed? No. No way. I got 3 boys to take care of. I got a family to take care of. I pulled out of the Ultimate Fighter. I got neck surgery. I came back 6 months later after having C6, C7 fused, and I fought. I saved my career. Look at me. I'm still fighting. I'm very thankful because of it. I'll never take back any of it. I made a decision upon my health for my future as a fighter, and that's why I did what I did. But Liddell has done great things, and he's been a great champion for the UFC. And, people's time has come, and that's how I can answer that.
You are the people's champ.
Thanks.
This question's for Dana. I'm 25 and I'm bald, and I'm a little chunky, and you're yourself chunky too. But I was just wondering, when did you get bald?
Dana's not chunky. What? Really?
So what's your question?
When did you get bald? How old were you?
When I was, I think I was 23.
And one more thing, I was just wondering if I could do the same thing, and when Machida wins, can I go put the belt around?
Didn't I just say this? None of these questions. None of these questions. I just want questions for the fight. I will be on Twitter.
Sit him down, please.
Should have skipped that question.
Yeah.
Over here.
Machida, tem muita história no Brasil falando que você treinou com o Anderson Silva para essa luta. Ele te ajudou mesmo a aprender um pouco de onde você nunca lutou com alguém nem no nível dele, de estilo mais unorthodox. Você já treinou com o Anderson Silva para aprender?
There's a lot of talks in Brazil about you having trained with Anderson Silva, and he's got a different style than a lot of people compare him. But did you train with Anderson, and how's that go?
A gente se falou muito pelo telefone, né, e ele mandou uns vídeos para mim treinando, assim, falou o que eu deveria treinar, o que ele achava que eu poderia treinar.
Yeah, we talked a lot on the phone. He sent me some videos, some stuff I should check out, and he told me a few things I should do, and but that was about it.
All right, thank you. Torcida Minas, você.
Hi, I'm from Brazil, and I have a question for Lyoto. I shared the same plane with you from Belém to Toronto, and I could see how you became a celebrity. This situation, this pressure that people are supporting you in Brazil and in Belém, adds more pressure to you to this fight?
Ele estava no mesmo voo que você lá de Belém para cá e viu como sua popularidade cresceu. Você acha que isso tem uma pressão a mais? Como é que você lida com isso?
Olha, essa pressão ela sempre existe, né? Mas eu lido muito bem com isso, porque eu acho que esse momento é o meu momento, né? Eu não posso ficar pensando nem na minha família, nem nos meus fãs, nos meus amigos. Eu acho que é um momento que eu tenho que concentrar na luta e focar no que eu posso fazer.
Yeah, there is some pressure, but I just focus on what I have to do. I don't think about my family. I'm not thinking about anything else. I just focus on what I have to do, which is come here and fight.
This question for Little Nog. You're coming off 2 losses to Bader and Davis and an injury. Is this the biggest fight of your career, and is it a must-win for you?
Você perdeu as 2 últimas lutas, Rogério. Você acha que essa é a luta mais importante da tua carreira?
Com certeza. Com certeza é a luta mais importante. Eu venho de duas derrotas e eu tenho essa oportunidade de lutar com o Tito. Acho que vai ser uma luta muito boa. O Tito é um grande campeão. Eu acho que essa chance eu não vou deixar escapar.
For sure, this is a very important fight. I lost my last 2 fights, and I've wanted to fight Tito for a while, and I'm not going to let this chance go by me.
We'll take 2 more questions.
Dana, all the way over from Ireland here. Just want to ask you 2 quick questions. If the opportunity ever arose, would you be interested in hiring Mauro Ranallo, because you're expanding, going forward, you're expanding, and I think he's one of the best in the business, and did it ever cross your mind to hire him, because he's definitely one of the best in the business, I think.
We'll see what happens. Obviously, in January, when we go into this new deal, we're looking for a lot of new talent on television, so we'll see what happens.
And just in relation to Josh Barnett and Daniel Cormier, do you think, will you be bringing them in, because the fans, even though definitely over in Europe, we're interested to see Barnett and definitely Cormier come in. Will they be brought into the heavyweight division going forward, or are you going to keep them in the Strikeforce? And
we'll see what happens. That deal should be, I know I keep saying this every week, but that deal should be wrapped up any day now, and then I'll make the decisions on who goes where and what's going to happen. So we should know by, hopefully by Monday. By Monday, I should have answers to those questions. Last one?
Hey, Dana.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. I have a question. If John Jones wins this one, who will be his next opponent? Will it be Rashad Evans, the winner of Rashad Evans and Phil Davies, or Dan Henderson?
Yeah, he's like you said, he wants to take some time off after this fight. He's fought 4 times this year, which is a lot in this sport. 3 is normal, 4 is unbelievable, and especially at the level of talent that he's been facing this year. He's going to take some time off. The Fox fight in January will be Evans versus Davis, and if Evans wins that fight, Evans will get the next shot at the title. If he doesn't, then, we'll see. Yep, and that's it. Thank you guys very much for your support. We appreciate it very much. I'm going to get this stuff out of here, and we will square these guys off for photo ops.
Just a quick announcement, if we can, after we do the square-offs, we're just going to ask all fans to please stay in their seats as we have the fighters leave the theater. Thank you.
I'm living out my purpose. I'm convinced that I was meant to be here. I believe that is my destiny, to be the UFC champion for many years.